Welcome to a meeting with the Bishop. Today we'll be going back to our reading on the 33 strategies of war. Hope you decided to download the book or purchase the book on Amazon. You can also find the book at half price. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Here we are once more, ready to talk about life improvement. I am Dr. Timothy Hart. For those who don't know, I am a relationship specialist. I am also the bishop and founder of the Church of the Ascended Christ, where we follow Christ to the throne room. Moving forward, new information facilitates change. Rather, in this case, it's old information. From doing research and from looking at things and from being in conference with the Lord, I think it's now time for us to change gears and do what should have been done in the first place. As many of you know, the church as you know it is the child of the Catholic faith. You might kick against them and they might say that there are certain things wrong with it, but we still have many of their mannerisms and many of the teachings that were approved of by the Catholic Church. Now it's time to get back to the real worship of God, which implies no more wafers and wine, no more dropping people in the water, no more hocus pocus, but it's straight worship of God. And how do we worship the Lord? We worship the Lord in many ways. If God has given you a gift, worshiping God means using that gift to the best of your ability, to His glory and honor. If God gives you a station, then you take that station and you use that station in righteousness. You do what's right at all times. You can be a Christian and be a judge. You just have to administer and judge correctly. You can be a lawyer. Just make sure that you're giving your clients all that they deserve. If you're a doctor, then that means you administer your healing power, your healing gift under the auspices of God. I think there's been too many games played and too much hocus pocus in the name of God. Too many people calling things God. Wonder why He's not working. Well, Church of the Ascended Christ will be making that move. And you want to follow and get really blessed of God, then you'll come and join us. But for today, we want you to know a few things before we get started. Number one, we are broadcasting as well on YouTube at King of Kadesh. Go to the channel, like the channel, share the channel, hit the notification bell so that we be notified when we are broadcasting. Also, any material that we use is used by Fair Use Act, which is the act that determines that we are not plagiarizing and we are not stealing other people's stuff, but we have the right to use it for educational purposes. Also, you can get many of our works, many of the things that we'll be reading from. You can get from pdfdrive.com. pdfdrive.com. Go there, get a membership, and some of the stuff is complimentary. You don't have to pay for it. But in order for you to access some of their other services, even book searches, things that are not on the website, you can ask them to search for it. They'll search for it, then you uh, deal with that accordingly. So, without any further ado, I want to get to our reading for today. All right. That's fighting the last war. And we're on to section. All right. We're at the section reversal. It is on page 79. And this is where we are. All right. It is never good to lose your presence of mind, but you can lose those moments. You can use those moments when it is under threat to know how to act in the future. You must find a way to put yourself in the thick of the battle, then watch yourself in action. Look for your own weaknesses and think of how to compensate for them. People who have never lost their presence of mind are actually in danger. Someday they will be taken by surprise and fall. The fall will be harsh. Read that again. People who have never lost their presence of mind are actually in danger. Someday they will be taken by surprise. It will fall. The fall will be harsh. All great generals from Julius Caesar to Patton have at some point lost their nerve and then have been the stronger for winning it back. The more you have lost your balance, the more you will know about how to right yourself. This is a good place to start because there are many people, and I'm sure that you know a few of yourselves that don't move forward because they're afraid to fail, or afraid to make a mistake. As if perfection is really what God is calling for. Let me say a word on perfection. Perfection, as we know it in the Bible, can only apply to one source, and that is God, the Creator. However, when it comes to humanity, perfection is when you have all your parts. Are you listening? You have everything you need. So in that respect, you're perfect. Now, does it relate perfectly? No, it does not. Every once in a while, listen to me carefully, every once in a while, you will run into a situation where everything you do, there's no way, with all the skills that you have, there's no way you can. Now, I'm reminded of how the human body operates. When your body gets sick, when there's something wrong with it, depending on what it is, maybe you have a pathogen invading, maybe you got yourself, whatever, and it's exposed, and something gets in, and you get what's called an infection. An infection is not entirely bad unless it persists and from sepsis, septic, and then it kills you. But what an infection really is, infection is when the body is winning the war. Y'all might not see that. When you get a cold and you see the phlegm coming out and the mucus coming out of your nose, that's your body winning. Oh, I don't know if you understood that. Let me break it down. You ever scrape yourself and just maybe wash it, don't take care of it, and all of a sudden you see pus come out? You know what pus is? Pus is when the white cells have attacked the pathogen. So if you don't see pus, you got a bigger problem. Are you listening? Now, we're in a situation now where people not understanding science. It's not the actual virus that's doing the damage. It's our body's reaction to it. When your body reacts to it, sometimes your body overreacts, and that's what causes the serious nature of C19. Look it up. I'm not saying anything that's against the CDC guidelines or the National Institutes of Health or the American Medical Association. I'm not saying anything that's against it. You can look and find it in any book. Any book on virology. Read what they read. You don't believe me. See, the issue that we're having is that the older you are, anything that's foreign, sometimes something that's really foreign, something your body has never seen before, your body develops amounts of heavy-duty defense, right where that virus is going, right where that pathogen is going. It doesn't move it out of the way to fight it. It fights it right where it is. And sometimes it's in the lungs. And so it mounts an attack, what's called a cytokine storm. That's what's actually giving you the issue. The virus itself is on the inside. It's material. The virus is the material on the inside. The protein coat is the one thing on the outside that protects it while it travels. Enough of that. You can't lose your nerve whenever you're confronted with a situation. If you know you're going to fail, listen to me carefully. If you know you're going to fail, go on ahead. But get out of the way so you can survive. Listen, the Bible tells us that God will not allow you to be tempted above your ability. All you who think that God puts things on you, no, God doesn't put anything on you. God puts you in this environment and you encounter things. See, God has better things to do than to pick on little old you. And if you're a worshiper, then he lets you into those secret chambers. He lets you see things. Okay? He lets you see things. And as a result of you seeing things, you learn more. And your learning should produce wisdom. And wisdom should carry you in your course of your conduct and what you do. We can tell when some people don't operate in wisdom. See? Because a wise person, what? He's wise counsel. When they run into a problem, they don't ask the problem. They ask people who have encountered that problem before. Okay? And guess what? The wise person will tell them. You know why? Because once you get to a certain level, you are becoming the manifestation of God in flesh if you are becoming an instructor. Because remember, God is love. God is love. I didn't say that. I said that. How are you displaying love? How are you showing God in yourself? Well, when God is a giver. This is why God didn't take none of your family members. Y'all are not listening to me. God doesn't take anything. He doesn't. What happens is you put yourself in a position and you lose it. That might seem hard for some folks, but it is what it is. See, I tell you, I'm from the church of the ascended Christ, not the Christ on the cross, not the Christ going to the cross. I want to follow him where the truth is. And what the truth is God has never taken anything from you. You know what happened? Isaiah said, he said, your sins have separated you from God. That was the problem. He said, his hands are not short and he can't save. His ears are not heavy, he can't hear, but your iniquities are separated. So when somebody dies, they're a victim of sin. Not necessarily their sin, but the sin of the environment which they are reared in. You can't get around it. This is why we accept Christ, so Christ can bring us into the light where the knowledge is, so that you can avoid. Listen, God does not want you fighting with sin. God don't want you really fighting at all. What he wants you to do is he wants you to position yourself so that whatever the trouble comes, it passes you by. You become like camouflage. Trouble can't find you. This is the symbol of the blood on the doorpost. See, when the death angel saw the blood on the doorpost, he knew not to go in there. This is what knowledge does for you. Knowledge is the blood on your doorpost. Wisdom is the blood on your doorpost. So whenever you have that, trouble passes you by. And it passes you by because you are inside where you're supposed to be and not outside where it can get you. Y'all are not listening. All right. Let's get back to where you're going. Okay. It says, all great generals from Julius Caesar to Patton have at some point lost their nerve and then have been the stronger for winning it back. The more you have lost your balance, the more you will know about how to right yourself. You do not want to lose your patience and your presence in key of mind in key situations, but it is a wise course to find a way to make your enemies lose theirs. For any of you who are athletes, especially basketball, if you have a coach that runs you up and down the court and you're running suicide, there's suicide after suicide after suicide, just like you run plays for maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week, the rest of them you're running suicides and laps and suicides and laps. The whole thing is that you can't enjoy the game if you're tired when you're doing it. So a good coach will make sure you have the endurance. The Apostle Paul said, I keep under my body. Okay? I keep under my body, bringing under subjection. Okay? Lest when I preach to others, I myself won't be considered a castaway. It's the same thing in a race. If you want to win the race, you got to be able to last. If it's an endurance race, you got to be faster than the next opponent if you sprint. So guess what? You don't want to lose your presence of mind, but make the enemy lose theirs. How do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. You know, the enemy, sometimes he'll use your personal lifestyle against you. I know somebody hears this. They got to hear this. Sometimes he'll use your appetites and your personal lifestyle as a way to get in. Okay. So when he starts, trying to, when he tries to poison your liquor, I know what I'm talking about. He tries to poison your liquor. Tries to contaminate your food and water. Well, if you don't go to the watering hole, you don't have to worry about contaminated water. If you make your own food and don't buy it from somebody, the likelihood of it being tampered with is diminished. If you allow only people you know to pour your drink for you, it doesn't matter whether it's Kool-Aid, soda, water. I just use liquor as an example because most people get in trouble, and they left their drink unattended, and some unscrupulous snake put something in the drink. So according to writing, let him get tired. Let them get confused. Let them get frustrated. And if you wait a minute, hold it. I did all of that and they still haven't. This is why Jesus told the disciples, turn the other cheek. See, because when it came to God's message has to project the attitude or the propensity to be long suffering. It has to. So if you're talking about Jesus, somebody smack you. You're not here to fight. You're here to preach Jesus. Get up and keep preaching. 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 If that's your vocation. If it's not for your vocation, this is the way we know. We know because you got the temperament. You got the temperament of a Wolverine. Y'all not listening to me. There's many times when I watch how people act. It's like, oh, I want to quit this stuff. That thing stopped a long time ago. I'm just going to keep on telling you. You know why? Because the more I tell you, the more you listen to, the more you hear, the accountability is yours after I tell you. You can keep on clowning if you want to. Decide you don't want to hear it, scroll on, or you look for something that sounds good to tickle your ear, keep on. It doesn't make the message any less poignant. It doesn't make your responsibility toward it any more profound. So here we go. Take what throws you off balance and impose it on them. Let me read this. So for some of you who just come in late, let me do that again. Let me read the whole thing again. It says, you do not want to lose your presence of mind in key situations, but it is a wise course to find a way to make your enemies lose theirs. Take what throws you off balance and impose it on them. Make them act before they are ready. Surprise them. Nothing is more unsettling than an unexpected need to act. Find their weakness. What makes them emotional, and give them a double dose of it. The more emotional you can make them, the further you will push them off course. Is that not how the enemy works? I just finished telling you, he's going to find those things that you're passionate about. He's going to find your appetites. He's going to find your attitudes. He's going to find what makes you comfortable, what makes you pleasurable, and he's going to use that. Okay? There was a song came out a while back. I'll be able to devote. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay? Talked about the girl is poison. Okay? Never trust a big butt and a smile. Y'all know the song. And that's because you don't believe. If you don't believe this story, ask Samson about Delilah. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying. So let's keep moving. All right. Now, I want you to look at the paradigm of what's going on today as I read these next ones. This is important. See the title, it says, create a sense of urgency and desperation. Many of you know the story of Gideon, who, of course, was the leader of the 300. And the Lord told him to fill up the pots. They were actually creating grenades. They put in brimstone inside the pots. They carried the pots, and they had their trumpets and their swords. And he says, when I give you the word, I want you to yell, a sword for the Lord and get in. From the vantage point that they were placed, the sound made 300 sound like 3 million. They created a sense of urgency and desperation. See, inside the Philistines were having a nice little party. They were drinking and they were eating and they were having a good old time. They had just taken the city. But when they heard that sound, most of them were aroused out of their sleep. They had to run and get their swords, and then they realized that they were, according to the sound, they were small in number. And so the only thing they could do, if they were going to go outside, under their mind, they were going to die. So they started killing themselves, killing each other. They would rather die, commit seppuku, than to get it handed to them. That's how some enemies work. They'd rather commit suicide than to let you kill them. Create a sense of urgency and desperation. Now watch this. You are your own worst enemy. Did you see that? Yeah, I want you to read. I'm praying, I'm hoping that you all decide to get this. It says you are your own worst enemy. You waste precious time dreaming of the future instead of engaging in the present. Since nothing seems urgent to you, you are only half involved in what you do. The only way to change is through action and outside pressure. Put yourself in situations where you have too much at stake to waste time or resources. If you cannot afford to lose, you won't. Cut your ties with the past. Enter unknown territory where you must depend on your wits and energy to see it through. Place yourself on death ground, where your back is against the wall, and you have to fight like hell to get out alive. All right, all right. So my Instagram friends here. All right, folks. All right, you at Instagram. Here we are. Just thought I'd take a break. We're back with our reading today. And I thought I would get you involved, you who are my Instagram friends, because this right here is something I really want you to see. I really want you to see this. All right. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? What does it say? All right. It says create a sense of urgency and desperation. Now, I want you to read. I want you to read with me if you can. If you're right there, I want you to read this with me. It says you are your worst enemy. You waste precious time dreaming of the future instead of engaging in the present. Nothing seems urgent to you. You're only half involved in what you do. The only way to change is through action and outside pressure. If you cannot afford to lose, you won't. Cut your ties to the past. Enter unknown territory where you must depend on your wits and energy to see you through. Place yourself on death ground, where your back is against the wall, and you have to fight like hell to get out alive. See, this is something I've been thinking about for quite a while, and I'm glad there's an author out there that said this. See, because what's happening with Dark Americans is that we're not serious about anything. Y'all not listening to me. Yeah, we we just let stuff happen. I'm still trying to figure out why it's so easy for us to let people do things, and then we just until it really, really matters and we don't have no other choice, then we want to fight and argue about who's doing what wrong. Where's the preparation? We just get too relaxed. You see what the writer says? It says, place yourself on death ground where your back is against the wall. Is that what it's going to take for us? He tells a story here about Cortez. Cortez ran all about 10 ships. Cuba, to be sure, was still there in the Blue Sea with its farms, its cows, and with its tame Indians, but the way to Cuba was no longer through sunny blue waves, rocked in soft idleness, oblivious of danger and endeavor. It was through Montezuma's court, which had to be conquered by ruse, by force, or by both, through a sea of warlike Indians who ate their prisoners and donned their skins as trophies at the stroke of their chief's masterly hand. The 500 men had lost their flow of vital memories and hopes, which linked up their souls with their mother island. At one stroke, their backs had been withered and had lost all sense of life. Henceforth, for them, all life was ahead, towards those forbidding peaks, which rose gigantically in the horizon, as if to bar all access to what was now not merely their ambition, but their only possible aim. Mexico, mysterious and powerful, behind the conflicting tribes. Now, I want you to grab onto something. Okay? I really want you to grab onto something. Okay? There's many of us who have been saying these exact things, and we've been saying them for a long time. Okay? Now, you can sit there and nod your head and act like you know everything's going to be all right. You can go to the church and let the preacher put oil on your head and give you the hookaboo, and you think that everything is all right. But let me say this to you: that if you do not do something now, I'm here to tell you, you do something now, you're in for a surprise. And people don't like it when I say, you know, a lot of us are not going to make it. Let's just accept that as a reality. There's very few wars, if ever, where there was zero casualties. Right now, we're in a war, and you know what? The pawns are taking a serious hit. I was reading on the I read a lot, watch the news, and you know one thing I found out? I found out that I was right about a lot of stuff I said about this thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say this thing. Okay, they're finding out the vaccine loses its power. The first big hit was they found out that your immune system would be better if you caught the disease and survived it, because your body would be preparing for more parts of the disease, of the pathogen. But the vaccine only takes care of one part, and it's losing its efficacy. Yet they keep on pushing, keep on pushing. Pretty soon, pretty soon you're gonna have a daily shot. You know, you're gonna be lines on the way into your job. Oh, next month is gonna be this one. Every 30 days, you're gonna be taking a shot because they messed up on this one. If they would have talked about some virulency, they could have picked a better disease. I could if you're gonna if you're gonna do that, you're gonna pick something better. But I'm glad that it's not as bad as they thought, and all of their lies have been debunked. Still waiting to see all of these graves though, of all these people that have died, so called died. But let me keep it moving. As a man who's striving to be righteous, let me tell you what my position is. If heaven is your goal, people, if heaven is your goal, then my job is to help you see it. Okay? And I'm going to use everything at my disposal to help you get there. See, the Bible, the Quran, and now we got other works, God's Bible, uh, New World Translation of Scriptures, the hundred and something versions of the Bible. All of those are designed to change your behavior. So if you need a book to change your behavior, this is why when you go feeling stupid because you had every avenue, every opportunity to make the change, and you had all the instruction in the world. You can In America, nobody can say somebody didn't tell me. Okay, Now, if you still ignorant, okay, we'll turn to TikTok. Do you believe me? TikTok. If you go to TikTok, you could probably get a bachelor's degree in a month if you just stay with some of these contributors. Stay with some of these content creators. You could probably get a degree because they're just loading you down with information. And if you have a degree, you can get continuing education units from a lot of them. Okay, I know I had the best. I have the best time in the world following them up. Oh, that what they said? Let me follow your resources and see if it say the same thing to me that it's saying to you. Because if there's some truth in it, that's what I want. Because righteousness exalts a nation. Sin is a reproach to any people. You can keep on making stupid mistakes when the instructions is right there. It's like a hungry man starving to death right in front of the buffet because he too ignorant to pick up the daggone fork and plate. Y'all not listening to me. So that was our reading for today. The next one we're gonna do the no return tactic. Okay. So I want to encourage you to get the, I want to encourage you to get this. I want to encourage you to get this because I've been saying it, been saying it, and been saying it. The time is going to come when you won't hear this. You won't hear any of us. Okay, you won't hear no more. There'll be no more discussion about it. There's going to be no more warnings. There's going to be no more back patting and head patting and coddling. Okay, there's going to be nobody here to feel sorry for you. There's going to be nobody here to cry over you. There's going to be nobody here to rescue you because you have an opportunity now to get it. So when the trouble comes, you'll know what to do. Unless you got this mentality, oh, I just got one life anyway. Okay, well, keep on going. Just stay away from me. Okay. And I'm sure that anybody with any sense feels the exact same way. Anybody that doesn't, that could care less whether they live or die, get away from me. Stay away from me. Because you'll do something to hurt you and us just standing around and get hurt behind you. All right. That's where we are for today. All right, Instagram. I'll talk to you guys in another day. So here we are, people. Coming to the end of this meeting. And I'd like to say that if there's nothing else on the table, which there isn't, I'd like to bid you a good afternoon. And I hope you're blessed. Remember, go to YouTube, show your support. Go to King of Kadesh. You'll see all my videos right up. Also, I could use your help doing this work. It costs a little bit. So all I'm asking for is a little bit. Maybe a couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars there. Drop it in the Cash App. Hey Kadesh. If you have any questions, issues, forums, you want to be part of the show. And by the way, in the next few months, I will be starting the radio broadcast. And so if you have a business and you want to have it featured, send me an email. Send me an email and we'll talk about how we go about getting that done. Okay, make sure when you send your public notices, make sure you send them at least 21 days in advance. If you can't, 14 at the minimum. So we can make sure we have a spot to get them on. Everything I've used today has been held under the Fair Use Act, which means I can use it for educational purposes only, leaving and giving respect to the author. All right? So, this has been Meeting with the Bishop. You guys have a great afternoon.